almighty, just letting it all hang out. She's a brick house. I like lady stack, that's a fact. Ain't holding nothing back. Oh, she's a brick.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we come to you here from the Alive and Social Network. This is Apples to Apples. I'm Drew Applebaum. I'm here with my co-host and a little less importantly, my father, Scott.
But much wiser.
Well,
much
that's
wiser.
up for debate. We'll find out.
Oh, you'll find out. You'll definitely find out.
So, I have been a huge Minnesota sports fan for like 20 years. It's about how long I've been living, give or take.
How's that gone for you?
Living or being a sports fan?
No, the sports fan part.
It hasn't been great. It's, I mean, you have had more than twice as much experience with failure as I have.
Well, that's a good point, yeah.
But
I've had 2 World Series, though. 87, 91.
Well, they just bunched them there for you, and then you were done.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully. But I think now I can honestly say, I don't think I could ever have honestly said this before. It is probably the first time in a long time, probably since they won a World Series, the Twins won a World Series, that it's an exciting time to be a sports fan in Minnesota. The Wild were a playoff team. They kind of fizzled out at the end, but they're a playoff team. The Timberwolves just had the number 1 pick, and they got a lot of young guys. And hopefully they work.
Right now they're in first place.
They're not in last.
Right.
They haven't done bad yet. The Twins are, after last night's win, I want to say 5 games above 500. They've
only 4 games out, maybe.
They're in the wild card, I'm pretty sure. And the Vikings were a game under 500 last year, I want to say, with a lot of young guys.
And we got a running back now.
Fine, he's back.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll get there. But it's an exciting time.
And, hey, soccer fans.
Soccer fans, the World Cup, the Women's World Cup is in full, well, I'd say full swing, but I could probably come up with something better.
Sunday we got the finals. I think the rumor has it Nike is just praying for a shootout and one more shot at selling a bunch of sports bras.
You think so?
It's just a rumor. It might be a rumor I started, but I'm not sure.
I know FIFA's corrupt. I don't know if women's FIFA is that corrupt.
Yeah, I'm not a real expert on that.
The women, they give the good old US of A, pulled off a win last night, 2-1, 2-0, I think. We didn't get to watch.
Well, I don't know a lot about soccer.
Yeah,
but I do know you just made a mistake.
I did make a mistake.
It's 2-0.
Oh, excuse me.
2-0.
That is my bad. I don't know a lot about soccer.
That's
either.
My soccer experience.
We might
2-0.
need to stay away from soccer.
All right. Well, enough about that. Let's get to something current.
As I said, just a couple days ago, it's the NBA draft. The Timberwolves against all. Well, I shouldn't even say against all odds. The odds were in their favor, but recent history would suggest against all odds. They pulled off the first pick, and with it, they took Karl Anthony Towns.
Good pick.
You think so?
They had to pick him.
That's probably true. They probably did have
They actually probably couldn't have blown this one. I guess we'll see.
Well,
but I don't think so.
They normally find a way. Like I said, I've followed the Timberwolves for a long time, and they normally find a way to mess it up.
That's true.
They had 2 chances to take Steph Curry and didn't take him either time. And one of the guys they took for him is now not even in the NBA
Steph
anymore.
who? Oh.
He won
he had
something.
a good year this year. That's right.
I think so. He was okay.
Yeah, he had a decent year.
He won a couple of things, I think. I don't know.
Something with a real big trophy that he carries around, though. And a ring. Yeah. Well, we didn't need him.
No. We got Rubio.
Where is Johnny Flynn these days?
I looked it up the other day because I was talking to someone about it. I want to say he's in China or Turkey. One of the two.
Like working at a restaurant? Or
No, he's playing ball. He's playing
ball. He is?
Well, he was bad, but
No, he was bad. For the 5th or 6th overall pick?
Well, yeah, he was bad, but he could still play in. Some of those guys that go.
Well, Stephon Marbury's still playing. He's a hero
in China.
out there. Yeah.
He led their team to the championship.
Right. So what about Jones? What do you think about that?
It's a nice story. The only thing I will say is we gave up 2 second-round picks for him, and in the NBA, second-round picks just don't do anything for you. I think they said in the last 30 years or whatever the stat went back to is a long time. Only 2 or 3 second-round picks have been all-stars, and one of them was Marc Gasol, and I can't remember who the other 2 were. So I don't have anything against.
It's actually if Rubio doesn't get hurt, and that's obviously a huge if. It's the perfect place for him because he doesn't have to play more than 12, 15 minutes. There's not much pressure.
And I think we needed him to. We have no one backing up Rubio.
Right.
And Levine,
He's not a point
he's
guard.
not a point guard. I don't know how he managed to get drafted as a point guard, but he's a dude that's 6'6", 6'7", can jump out of the gym, is not a point guard.
No, and he doesn't dribble that well.
No. He's much better off.
That was a lot like your high school career.
I had a high school career.
Except for the jumping out of the gym part. More than not being able to dribble very well part.
I didn't really have a high school career. That was kind of mean.
Maybe, yeah, that was mean. Just a little background on you, sorry.
That hurts. We'll get to your background, I guess, then.
We don't have enough time. It's just an hour show.
Oh, good one.
I've got an extensive one. So how many wins do you think they're going to get? What's the over and under?
What is it? It's 82 games in a season. What they win last year? How many did they win last year? 19?
16 or something?
16?
We could ask our stat guy. Is he
For
here
how many
today?
wins they had?
Yeah, we'll check on that later.
We'll get him on that. How many wins? You know, if everybody stays
All right, I'm going to
healthy,
give it over under 30.
under.
Under
Well,
30?
What would that make them? 30 and 52? God, that's still bad. And I feel like 30 wins is a lot for them.
Well, it's a lot for a bad
for
team.
them. I don't. You know, I'm gonna. If everybody stays healthy, I'm gonna go with over.
Over
I
30?
think if one of those guys, you can pick one. Either Rubio, Wiggins, Towns, and you could probably even throw in Levine would make enough.
Well,
of a
they still got
difference.
Martin.
Oh yeah,
And then we've got that dude from the Euro League MVP.
Bialovic. I don't even know how to say his name. I can't even. I couldn't even try and pronounce his name if I wanted to.
We
But
might
yeah,
not, you know what?
We've had him for like 5 years. You know, he's like,
and he's finally
been on our
averaging like
roster.
14 points, so we can bring him over. We don't have enough room for him. Our team's we're too deep.
You think? You really think we're that deep?
No,
Yeah, I didn't.
no.
Biel.
But that might.
Bjelica.
But that might. go-
Nemanja Bjelica. That's a NEM.
That's okay.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce
Well,
it.
who cares?
He's probably not going to play. He's
They're
just
probably
one
not
more-
going to sell a lot of jerseys with his name on it anyway.
Just to the large Croatian population.
So why do we think we need him? Now that goes to my next point. Flip Saunders. Should he coach, or should he even be the GM?
I think he's been a good GM. I have no complaints about
No,
him being a GM.
that's true. He did what he had to do.
I don't want to say he bringing KG back's that huge of a move. He's not going to make like an impact on the court, but I mean, these guys going to own the team one day. It's nice for him to retire here. He's made 2 good draft picks.
So
He
why?
drafted fine last year. He managed to somehow pull off a trade for Wiggins, and when Love didn't want to be here, you knew he had to go,
Right.
and he probably got as much value for it as he could have.
So he tried to get other coaches, and then.
Well, I wouldn't want to coach the Timberwolves either. I can't really blame.
Well,
someone for
but
not
there's
taking the
guys out there that are.
Well, you'd think now that we have all these
Right.
guys, we have the last 3 number 1 picks. We have Rubio, who, he can't shoot. He can't really score. Is probably arguably the best passer in the NBA. He's a great ball. He's a great point
And
guard.
that's what he wants
That's
to
all he
do.
needs to do.
Right.
You have
No
good
pressure.
pieces behind them.
You have no pressure.
Someone's probably going to want to come now.
So Thibodeau, he started here.
That's true. But
He was a backup. He needs a job.
he does need a job. I think that was a little aggressive of the Bulls to give him the axe. I think that was a little harsh. He's done nothing but succeed there with Derrick Rose going in and out, in and out, in and out. And if you want me to be honest, I don't think they've ever had that good of a team.
Who?
The Bulls.
Oh, this year, yeah.
Just like the last when
I thought you
Thibodeau's
meant
been
the
coaching
Michael
there.
Jordan Bulls.
No, yeah, they were
Because they won a few titles.
No, they were okay. No, I mean the now Bulls have been Rose. Butler just got good this year, and he
Well-
only was good because Rose was out.
Rose was part-time.
Exactly, he's never.
They just re-signed
you really think
Dunleavy.
You think, Dunleavy, Joakim Noah,
No, I don't think
Taj
they're very
Gibson,
good either.
they're not good.
So wouldn't that
And-
mean he's a good coach?
No, I do think he's a good coach. I'm saying I think it was a little harsh. Of the
Oh, I
Bulls to
agree.
can him.
I agree. So bring him here.
He needs a job.
But Saunders won't leave. That's the problem.
No, he wants to coach. Well, now he's got a good team, and now he's getting gready and wants to coach again.
He still gets
It's
the
not.
same
It's
amount
not
of money.
Flips NBA anymore.
But
this
was
this
he-
isn't. This isn't. Let's get Let's get the ball unloaded. This isn't.
But help me with something. Where was he ever a good? How was he ever
That's
a
what
good
I'm.
coach?
So I'm
Saunders.
saying. Yeah.
When was he a good coach? He went to the Pistons when they had good players and got to the conference.
He
final.
coaches like it's 1990 is the problem.
Right.
When he was here and we had Garnett,
We had all those plays.
that was enough. You know,
Yeah.
it's not. He like you said, he went to the Pistons and then somewhere else. Too.
I think Saunders needs to to step up to
I
the
think he
office.
has been a great basketball guy. He's helped the team get better, no doubt. But I think it's time for him to hang up the clipboard
and we need a
find
new
someone
coach.
else.
All right, I guess we agree on that one.
Weird.
Maybe.
Well,
So what about
who to replace him with is probably where we disagree.
I
don't even.
Scott Brooks.
I think he's a terrible coach.
Scott Brooks.
Yeah, you can't win. I could win with Westbrook and Durant. That's unbelievable.
How about Kevin Garnett?
Well, he's got to give him a year. He's going to play one more year.
Player coach.
Kevin
the
Garnett
Globetrotters
wouldn't be a
do it.
Kevin Garnett would not be a bad coach.
The Globetrotters do the player coach. He could be a player coach.
I suppose that's
I think it's time to move on from Flip.
I would agree.
Maybe give him one more year. So what about did the Lakers make the right move?
With Russell,
Yeah.
everyone said, I mean, I'm not a scout. I'm not in the workouts and anything, but everyone seems to say that Russell has the bit, he's the one that out of everybody could be a star.
Yep.
Towns is going to be good. He's probably going to be great, but he's a big man in today's NBA. Okafor is just,
See, I think
Okafor is I don't want to say like Tim Duncan because that's kind of high praise, but he's like a guy like Tim Duncan that, he's not going to be flashy. He's probably not even as good as Tim Duncan.
I think he's going to be more like Sam Bowie, maybe without 3 or 4 of the broken legs. I think he's going to be injured. Maybe not, like I said, maybe not as severe. I think he's going to have a mediocre career. He might have one good year here and get paid again.
He's not going to get. Okafor isn't going to be able to do anything on his own. Is his problem? He needs someone around him.
I don't ask me why I think he's going to get hurt all the time.
Maybe.
So
I don't know.
Now, what the Sixers are going to do with him?
Well, they just drafted 6 guys above the height of 6'10". Have Embiid, who's I think going to be back from injury this year, and Nerlens Noel on the roster, and then Tony Rotten. And Tony.
Excuse me, who?
He's their point guard. He's the only guy.
Tony Rotten.
Roten. It might be Roten.
No, I wouldn't even know either name.
But exactly, that's my point.
Is.
That's my point.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of big dudes, and then this Tony Roten guy who no one's heard of, who no one knows, and there's this Philadelphia fans are.
I'd bring Iverson back. We brought Garnett back. Bring Iverson back. Speaking of which, I got one free
Iverson
agent.
or Garnett.
No, I was talking about the Phillies.
Oh, the Philadelphia fans are
the
insane.
Sixers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my take on Kevin Love, and I know, and again, if he was smart, and we all know, everybody knows he's not smart.
No.
But if Kevin Love was smart, he would come right back here to Minnesota. Not that we take him. He'd have no pressure. He'd be a hero. It's a good young team. He'd once again be an all-star. It'd be the perfect place for him.
You're probably right.
Now I know you hate him, so
I
can't.
hate Kevin Love.
But you gotta get over that.
Well, why?
It's like
I don't need
wrestling.
to get over it.
You watch wrestling. There's
do
bad
watch
guys and
wrestling.
good guys, and the good guys turn bad. And
Love's a bad guy.
But
now.
the bad guys turn good.
You can't just go right back to good though. That doesn't make for good TV.
Hulk Hogan was a good guy, then a bad guy.
But he was a good guy for a long time, then a bad guy for
and now
pretty
he's a
long
good
time.
guy again.
Well, yeah, because he was a bad guy for a while.
Well-
Kevin Love's got to serve his time.
Hulk Hogan wrestled for 40 years. Love's not going to play 40 years. So
Well, I'm asking
in
him
his
for
context,
Yeah, no, I don't want him back. We'll be fine without him. Plus, he's going to go. The Lakers or whoever are going to pay him every dime they have to come suck on their team.
I don't think he would suck on our team.
Going back to the Lakers pick thing, what I was going to say is I think the Lakers, if they did, it seemed like every expert was, it's going to go Towns, Okafor, Towns, right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Lakers swooped in with the number 2 pick and went with Russell, which is interesting because they went against what basically everyone would say, which makes me think they got a bigger plan. Now, there are no point guard free agents out there. There's Rajon Rondo, but you'd know him and Kobe wouldn't really.
Well, what's his name? Aldridge is having espresso right now with Kobe talking about it.
Aldridge was visiting with them. Cousins has been in talks with them for a while. That's still going. And then Love's going to meet him now, too. So that's 3 big men that they have all now meeting with. So I think they're going to be able to get one of them. And then they're going to have Kobe, Russell, Aldridge, Love, Cousins, insert here, plus Julius Randle, who under the radar because they were so bad, had a good year last year, and then Swaggy P.
Excuse me?
Swaggy P. Nick Young, Swaggy P.
Oh, Nick Young. Oh, he dates, what's her name?
Iggy
Not
Azalea.
Iggy, yeah.
Were you going to say Britney Spears?
I was going to say Britney Spears.
That's a little off.
That's about my...
No, Swaggy P is the future.
The Lakers need to get rid of Kobe. I know it sounds crazy.
It's his last year, I heard.
He's going to be
told,
he's poison.
Who's that female reporter? Jameel Hill or something? Is that
Jamil Hill?
She does the show, whatever. He told some reporter that it's probably his last year.
Unless they pay him.
Well, unless they
million.
start winning,
Yeah.
and then he'll stick around.
Yeah,
But I think the Lakers, they're not going to win a championship this year because Kobe's too old, probably. But they might sneak their way back into the playoffs this year
Or
if they
he'll
can
get
pull
hurt
off
again.
getting one of those big guys. They got him, Russell, Kobe. Rumors are Dwayne Wade's talking to the Lakers.
My sources tell me that he's going to. Yeah, my sources tell me. I have sources. They tell me he's going to re-sign.
Who could your sources be?
Well, I can't reveal them.
Right.
There's some S.O. is his initials.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't really say. But he or she told me that Dwayne Wade will probably resign in the next 2 days. That they're working. They got to get rid of a couple. I can't. That's going to be nice. A couple pieces of trash. They got to throw some trash out and make some room, and then they're going to re-sign him.
In his how long has he been on?
13 or 14 years.
He has never been the highest paid player
Oh, I know.
on the Heat. Is that not insane?
And now he shouldn't
And
be.
you think, okay, once it was LeBron, that's whatever. Yeah, you're okay with that one. But the other ones were Chris Bosh,
Yep.
and they had to do that to get him there. It was Chris Bosh. Jermaine O'Neal got paid more than him.
Is that the singer? Oh, no.
Do you remember?
It's an old reference. Forget it.
Do you remember Eddie Jones? He got paid more than Dwayne
Popeye
Wade.
Jones?
I have what?
His nickname was
Popeye
Popeye Jones.
Maybe I don't. Maybe
Have the stat man look that up.
I will take your word on Popeye Jones there.
Okay.
But anyways, the guy.
Well, there is a Popeye Jones.
Well, Popeye Jones
or Eddie.
was paid more than Dwayne Wade his rookie year.
Here's the
Or not-
problem.
and you know who else was paid more on the Heat team that you kind of forget he was on the Heat? Shaq.
Ronnie Cycli.
Shaq.
Oh, yeah. Shaq.
Eddie Jones, Popeye, if you want to call him.
Ronnie
that.
Cycli was on the
Shaq,
Heat.
Jermaine O'Neal, Bosh, and LeBron all have been paid more during their time with the Heat.
But here's the problem. Now he shouldn't be paid more.
Well,
He's
that's
a
the thing.
part-time player.
Well, he's still the center. He's still the center of your franchise. Who else are the Heat? Who are the Heat going to pay more money to?
It's that dude they just signed today, and I'm not even going to say his name because I don't know how. Dragan Vakovic.
Goran Dragic.
That's it. They just re-signed him.
You want
today.
to try that one more time?
No.
You want me to sound it out for you?
No, because no. That's what you're here
Okay.
for.
Well, he's
you knew what I was talking about. What's the difference?
just because I knew who they signed. If you came up to me, it was like,
Well,
"Oh, did you hear
how
about
many
blah, blah, blah," I would have
How
no
many
clue.
guys do they have close to Dragan Vakovic?
Well, he's got a brother named Zoran.
He does?
Yeah, it's Goran and
Who
Zoran.
does he play for?
I think
Mars?
they both play,
Planet
they both
Jupiter?
played for the Suns together, but I think
that's right.
they dished Goran and they left
Yep.
Zoran behind. They might have been a package deal. I think they sent him to Miami too. I think they
did?
They kept the brothers together. Yeah.
Well, they live together.
It's like the Was it
Yeah,
Markeith and Marcus? Was it Markeith and Marcus?
right.
They got to go everywhere together. So do Goran and Zoran. They're not in their home. They're Serbian or whatever. They get lonely.
No, I get that. The little brother has to live with the big brother. So that. Anything else in the NBA?
We got the Sixers. We got the whole big man thing. Oh, did you see what Scottie Pippen? We were talking about the Bulls a little earlier. What Scottie Pippen said about LeBron,
Recently?
like yesterday or 2 days ago.
No, I was meeting with some of my sources, so I missed that.
Right, your sources. Well, your sources failed to
I
share
didn't
this
know.
with you.
What did he say?
He said, and I quote, "I was LeBron James before LeBron James. It's not even close." End quote.
Okay, so
So Scottie Pippen is sour and salty about
So
the
wait a
fact that when
second.
people talk about LeBron and they compare him to Michael, they compare him to Magic, and they compare him to whoever, that Scottie Pippen gets left out of the mix.
All
Scottie
right.
Pippen is mad and wants people to know
That
Scottie Pippen is more similar of a player to LeBron than Michael.
okay, here's what I have to say to that. Your generation probably knows who Scottie Pippen is,
I do.
but ours watched him, and anyone in
I
our,
never watched him.
Okay, anyone in our generation that ever saw a picture of him, either live,
I'll pull up a picture later.
pull up a picture of him.
We'll
anyone
show-
that
we can
ever
show our
saw,
audio-
so
oh,
to
wait,
my
we're on
point,
audio.
anyone that ever saw a picture of him at the time thought that guy looks high.
I
Clearly,
see it, yeah.
he's still high. If that's what he thinks, there is no doubt he's still high. Does he not?
I mean,
look
he
high?
is in retirement. I mean, what
Well,
else
he
can
was
be doing?
high. He looked high back then.
Well, if he could do it playing basketball, I
Scottie
think he could do it sitting
Pippen-
on his couch.
if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, not only would Scottie Pippen would not be one of the top 300 all-time players, let alone in the top 50. He is
Probably.
that
I
is
would- yeah.
crazy.
He was good, but he wasn't like he
Well,
gets way more credit than he
Christian
deserves.
Laettner was good.
Well, like maybe.
Well, that brought everything to a screeching halt.
Well, because I don't know if Christian Laettner was good.
There was a lot of good players. Scottie Pippen.
Oh,
he's-
well, okay. When I say good, I mean like good.
Michael Jordan is better.
Like
than,
yeah. I mean, any dude in college is good, but like I'd
Well,
say
he
they
played it.
suck because like the bar for good is like
Scottie Pippen.
I
He's crazy.
You got to be like one of the top 30 players in the NBA for me to call you good.
Michael Jordan was the best player of all time in my mind, and LeBron is creeping up close. I don't know if he'll ever be better. They do different things.
I think what LeBron does may be more impressive because he's just so unbelievable. He's a freak athlete out there playing basketball.
well, and the one
You could put that guy in basically any surface, probably except on skates. I don't know how he do on skates. I don't
maybe
know.
goalie.
You could just stick him there.
Mm-hmm.
Even though to get a 6'7", 260 or whatever. If you put him on a football field, he'd probably learn how to play baseball better than Michael Jordan.
Well, yeah, that was.
That was not saying much. He's probably one of the best athletes in the world out there playing basketball.
Well, and
Michael Jordan was just the greatest basketball player of all time.
And I will say, in LeBron's defense, wherever he's gone, they've won. Michael Jordan, even though he was older, tried a different couple other teams, and he could. They didn't.
He tried
win.
one other team.
The Wizards, right?
Yeah.
Or the Bullets, or whatever they were. At the
No, they were the Wizards still. They had the blue though. They hadn't gone.
Well,
they-
that statement is.
I got to see Michael Jordan on the Wizards, which was not as impressive as Michael Jordan on the Bulls, but that was cool.
That statement's
Off
crazy.
topic.
Scottie Pippen.
That's insane.
No, he's.
That's absolutely insane. I will say what you're saying though, LeBron. But LeBron's gone to different teams and hasn't been able to win with different teams. Michael had a team I don't think was that good. I don't think Scottie Pippen was great. I don't let's compare like the Heat team LeBron was just on
Right.
to, or even well, I don't want to say the Cavaliers because they were hurt during the finals. If Love and Kyrie are healthy, it's a totally different series. But let's go back to the Heat. If you look at, you have basically LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, and you compare them to Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, I think Bosh and Rodman are kind of, they're both big men, but they're kind of different. It's a tough comparison. But I think Bosh has probably been an all-star more time, had more of an impact on his team alone, so you can therefore say he's better.
They brought three superstars together. The Bulls.
Pippen and Rodman were like good role players. They weren't all-stars.
Don't forget John Paxson.
Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc.
Right, that's my point. So they all were role players because they had the greatest player ever. LeBron went to. Now I still think LeBron has made all the teams he's.
Well, I look at the team LeBron just almost. I mean, he didn't win the finals. He took them to 6 games and did everything he could. Look at that. Look at that.
But he had no. That Eastern Conference was horrible.
No. But look at the finals. They played without a doubt the best team in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors. They were the best team all
Right.
year. They ran through the West. Yeah, they might have gotten some favorable matchups because the Thunder didn't make the playoffs and they had to play the Pelicans, or maybe not the Thunder. The who's in Houston? The Rockets.
Well,
We're a little.
Golden State was about 1 game away from being eliminated. Weren't they? Wasn't it 3-1? Get the stat guy on there,
I don't think so. Maybe.
or maybe it wasn't 3-1, but they were down.
Well, they were
But-
down.
but
They
your
were
point.
down.
I get your point.
But I don't think. But my point is, they were definitively the best team all year. They had the MVP. They were What are you talking about? They were down 4-0 over the Pelicans, 4-2 over Memphis, 4-1 over Houston. I don't know.
It was Memphis then. It was Memphis.
Well, they were down 2-1 to Memphis.
Maybe I
and then they were
dreamt
like, "Oh, we're down a game. Let's."
Well,
let's
wait
figure
a
this
second.
out."
Against Houston, weren't they down like 40 points and they came back?
Yeah, because they're that good. Is what I'm saying. That's my point here. It's
I'm
they
lost.
ran through
Right.
the Western Conference. Ooh, like
What does
you
that have
just
to do
said.
with LeBron?
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
You keep interrupting me. I can't get there. Gosh, this is gonna be difficult. So
It's
they
nothing
finally get
new.
to the finals.
I have to interrupt you when you're wrong. It's part of my job.
I have yet to be wrong yet, except about the soccer nil thing, which you.
Well, that was right at the beginning.
Well, and I've
delayed the
figured it
log on.
out since then.
All right, go make your point.
So, LeBron was on a team. They would trot out a starting lineup of LeBron, some dude from St. Mary's, Matthew Dellavedova, who got way too much credit for having one good game, who I don't even think had that good of a game. I think Steph just had a bad game because Steph was like, oh, that was a bad game. They figured it out, and then he went off the rest of the series. A bunch of Knicks rejects and Timofey Mozgov. You know what? I'm going to include him in the Knicks rejects because he was one.
All right.
It was 3 New York Knicks rejects. If you can't make it on the Knicks, you got bigger problems.
Can you tie this up for me? Because I'm really confused.
He still took it to a 4-2 series, which I know isn't 4-3.
Right.
But he put up almost 40 points. He had 3 triple-doubles in the finals. He is just, what he does is so absolutely unbelievable.
Oh, I agree.
With absolutely nobody. He won with the good teams, but you can't really fault him for this one.
Oh,
he
I
had
wasn't.
Nobody against an absolutely phenomenal team.
I'm just saying they didn't have much competition on the way. And then when they
Well,
finally...
you're right, but they killed their competition on the way. They
Right.
swept the Celtics. They beat Chicago 4-2, I think.
we're
and then they
sort of-
swept the Hawks.
In a weird way, I think we're sort of on the same page.
I'm just saying, when you compare Jordan winning to LeBron not winning, LeBron won when he should have won. The series he's lost were with way back when with an awful
All right.
Cavs team, and this was an awful Cavs team again. But with the Heat, yeah, it took 1 year to kind of figure it out, but then they won. And, they're not going to win. I guess Jordan did win all the time, so I guess that's kind of where it starts going the other way.
While we're talking about this, and this is probably going to be outrageous and controversial, I personally think... Okay, I'm going to ask you first.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm right, so I'm just going to find
Okay,
out your answer.
right. You're right.
Phil Jackson, is he an average coach or a great coach?
I think
Well, he's got what? 700,
got 6 championships with the Bulls.
12 total, 13 total? I don't know
He's
if
got a lot. He's got more than 10 because there's always pictures of him.
So is he a...
We'll get
So
to
it's kind of crazy to even ask that question, but is he a good coach or a great coach?
11-time NBA champion, in case you were curious. I think, I know what you're going to say, so I'm just going to play devil's advocate and
No,
play
tell me
it
what
aside.
you think.
I think you're hard-pressed to definitively say Phil Jackson's a not a great coach. You win. I don't care who. I understand he had Michael and then he had Kobe, but to still win the championship 11 times, that's and he's a terrible front office guy.
Well,
clearly,
yeah.
but
That's because he started...
11 championships. You're really gonna come out here and say, "Oh, I don't know. I think great coaches take great coaches take good teams and make them great. I think Phil Jackson was a good coach. He took a great team and he got them to do what they were supposed to do.
Well, a good coach, if you've won 11 titles and you're only a good coach, that just proves my point. That he should be a guy won 11 titles. He should be a great coach. He's not.
Well, I think the problem is it's hard to say because you say, well, he never had a bad team. So how do you know
he never
if he was
went
a good coach or not?
He never went.
Well, why
anywhere
would you if he didn't have to?
Well, I'm not saying I'm mad at him. I'm just saying he's not a great coach. He never put his neck on the line. Now Thibodeau.
Well, of course he didn't put his neck. Why would you? He had a cushy job in Chicago, and then he had a cushy job in L.A. You wouldn't take a job in
I think
L.A.
you're helping my point.
I think just because he had good teams, it's not fair to him to be like.
Well, I'm not mad at him. I don't think he's a bad person. He just.
You're saying he's a bad coach. I think it's.
I didn't say bad. I think he's a good coach that got lucky. How many wins? Okay, if you coach Jordan, Pippen.
Well, I am a great coach.
That's a bad example.
I am a great coach.
If Mr. O'Malley coached Pippen.
Well, he's a great coach too.
Okay, who's not a good? Me. If I coached.
Okay.
If I coached those guys, how many titles would I have won? No, I get that it's
couple.
I get it's hard.
You wouldn't have won 11.
But guess what? Any coach, take Phil Jackson out of the equation. Go to all the coaches around the NBA. If you've won a couple championships, you're considered a great coach. Look at Tubby Smith. Had one good year at Kentucky, and
I don't know what people's deal with Tubby Smith is. I could talk for an hour about Tubby Smith.
I don't want to go there. I'm just saying, if you win a couple titles, you're considered a great coach. So if you're telling me that I would win a couple, I'd be a great. That's my point. I think he's and the first time.
So you don't think it's fair or
it's fair.
correct to base how good coaches are off of just winning titles? You think it's more than that?
No, I think it's hard to coach. I will give him one thing. When you got all those personalities and all that talent, it's hard to pull them together.
Look at Spoelstra in Miami. He couldn't. No one's saying he's a great coach, even though he won a couple titles, because they probably should have won more.
Right.
Phil Jackson won every chance he had.
So who's the best coach in the NBA?
I think it's Popovich, just because he has a worse team, but he's winning.
Okay, thank you. So now you just.
But I would say Popovich is a better coach than Phil Jackson, but I don't think it's fair to say Phil Jackson's not a great coach just because he had good teams.
All right, I don't see it, but again, and then we will move on. He went to New York, who had absolutely nothing, and he can't do anything with them. He can't judge talent. He can't pick a coach. He picked some guy that was going to do what he wanted to do.
I suppose that's true.
See, that's kind of all right. Let's move on.
All right. Well, we're gonna cool off for a second here. We're gonna take a short break. We'll be right back. This is Apples to Apples.
On the break,
Yeah.
do some little research.
On what?
Well, anything. It's getting uncomfortable. I feel like I'm carrying this whole thing.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll do research. We'll have a short break.
All right.
Hey, this is Terry.
And Tracy.
We are going to be starting a new podcast here in Minneapolis called Eat This, Twin Cities. Why don't you tell everybody what that actually means?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a weekly show on food, drink, music, events, and just other randomness. Anything great that's going on in the Twin Cities.
Plus, we're going to be doing some giveaways as well. That's right, prizes. People love prizes.
It'll be a ton of fun. Join us.
Tell us where they can find the podcast.
All right, it is eatthisTwinCities.com, or you can check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/eatthisTwinCities.
So, until next time, eat this, Twin Cities!
All right, we're back. Dad, I've known you for a long time.
Your whole life.
Just about. That's weird. You've known me my whole life. I've known you your whole life, but I haven't known you for your whole life, which is weird.
No, you missed a lot of good stuff too.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Another show.
We'll get there. But if I know anything about you in my 20 and a half now years of life, being your son, there's a lot of things that, bug you. And a lot of them are, I'd say, warranted, but rather small. You don't really notice them. But some things just really, set you off.
Pet peeves.
Is that what you want to call them? They're your pet
Well, that's
peeves?
what they are.
They're big pet peeves, though. We're not talking like little goldfish pet peeves. They're like big, what's a big dog? I don't know dogs. But they're big pet peeves. And I know you don't always get people to listen to you. Now you got people that have to listen to you.
Oh, that's a good point. All right, I'm going to start with a very small one.
Okay.
I've got a couple.
I'm just going to sit back and listen. I'm going to let you go for a minute here.
But I'm going to start with the smallest pet peeve I have.
Okay.
You're watching golf. It's 85 degrees out. I don't want to see a guy sitting in a suit and tie telling me that the guy just missed a putt. It's golf. And actually, that really goes for any sport. Put a polo shirt on, a T-shirt, shorts, flip-flop. I don't care. It's sports.
I don't get why they don't wear what the golfers wear. Why can't, what's the guy's name?
Jim Nance?
Jim Nance, and what's the other,
Mike Tirico?
The field guy he's English. He was in all the Tiger Woods games. I know you played
Nick
him.
Faldo?
No, he did the
Peter
announcing.
Oosterhuis?
No, some Nick Fair. No, not Faraday. What's his first name? Faraday.
He's got the show on the Golf Channel.
Yeah, when he was in all the Tiger Woods games. That's how I know him.
Peter?
David Faraday.
David.
That guy. I don't need to see that guy in a suit. He's out there. He knows what he's talking about. Just put on a nice Nike polo shirt that Tiger or Rory's gonna prance out in. Put on some nice golf pants and just some shoes.
So you agree with me?
Yeah, yeah. And then people are like, oh, they have to be professional because it's their office, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, their office doesn't require a suit. You're not some corporate New York big investment bank CFO. You're some dude announcing golf.
Their office should always be business casual.
You would think so.
All right, I've got two more huge pet peeves.
Okay.
And this I think you're going to agree with, the first one. Hall of Fame voting. I know it seems obscure, but let me finish. let's say that I'm up for the Hall of Fame this year, which is likely in multiple sports, and I don't get in. And then next year, I get in. I didn't get better by not playing, or I didn't get worse. If you're in the Hall of Fame and deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, go to the Hall of Fame.
I would agree with you in the fact that I think if you're in the Hall, if you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, you should be in the Hall of Fame. But I think what you're saying, the whole, I should not get in and then get in, is a problem of the system. Because you can only, at least in I think of like the MLB. First off, it's ridiculous that you have to wait 5 years.
True.
When Mariano Rivera retired, he should have been in the Hall of Fame the next day. No one would have disputed that he was a Hall of Famer.
I think they put Gretzky in right away. I think he's one of the only guys.
Any of those guys, those greats, they deserve to be in right away. There's no vote for those guys. But at least with the MLB, you have all these writers, which is a good way to do it. I think they know the most. They're the most unbiased. But they can only vote for like 3 guys a year or whatever out of the guys that are eligible, which, again, I think is ridiculous. You have to be eligible. You should just be able to get in as soon as you're done if you deserve it. But they can only vote for like 3-4 guys. So some guys have to get left off their first year because some guy or whatever, because someone else deserves it more that year, and they need to make sure they're in. They're like, I'll vote for, who didn't get in their first year? I'm trying to think.
Well, there's a bunch of guys.
Bagwell or Biggio just get in on like their 3rd year, something like that. Oh, I can't vote for him this year because this guy is here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no.
Well,
you should get as many votes as you think they deserve. And sports writers aren't going to just hand out votes because they know that if they mess it up, like, was it Levitard from ESPN gave his votes on, they don't let him vote anymore.
He got kicked out.
Exactly. They don't let him vote anymore.
He auctioned his vote off to a fan, I believe.
Exactly. And now they don't let him vote anymore. So they'd be right. They'd be good about it. You can trust. I don't know. I'm with you. But I think it's a mistake of the system, not of the people voting. That makes sense.
All right. Well, no, this is huge.
Mm-hmm.
The Dallas Cowboys, America's team. And to a smaller degree, the Chicago Cubs. Now, let me explain, and maybe we'll have to have the stat guy check my stats. But I believe the Dallas Cowboys have won one playoff game in 18 or 19 years. And I think they've only been there 2 or 3 times in that span. Why are they America's team?
Because they're the Cowboys.
Thank you.
In Dallas.
So what? Since when does everything run through Dallas? I understand it's the hype machine and blah, blah, blah. But Jerry Jones, if it wasn't for Jimmy Johnson, would be nothing. As soon as he got rid of him, the next 19 years, 18 years, we'll have our stat guy check. They've been terrible.
I will say, I got the stats back. Let's go back to 1990. That's 25 years by my math. They made the playoffs in. Now, you ready? 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 98, 99, 03, 06, 07, 09, 14. That's 13 playoff appearances in 25 years, if I did that math right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 in 25 years.
How many have they won?
Well, in those years,
go after the Super Bowl.
They did not. They won a division championship. You want to go after? So after 95. 95 is the last time they won a Super Bowl.
That's when they got rid of Jimmy
So in the
Johnson.
last 20 years, in my lifetime, 96, 98, 99, 03, 06, 07, 09, 14. It's 8 times in 20 years. That's pretty good. Go to the playoffs 8 times in 20 years.
How many wins?
No conference championships, which means they didn't even win 2 games. And I'm not sure they won 1 game in that many of them.
I'm telling you, it's 1 or 2 wins in 18 or 19 years. Or 20 years.
Well, in 96, the first year we're talking about, they won a game against our very own Minnesota Vikings, 40-15. In 97, they didn't make it. They lost in 98. They lost in 99 to the Vikings. We redeemed ourselves there. And then, I don't want to keep looking through this, but it's not a lot. It seems like every time I look, it's like however they would lose,
So that's my pet peeve. They're not America's team, and the Cubs, to a smaller degree, and maybe it's because they had the Super Channel and we're always on, that was thrown in our face. All right, so that's my few pet peeves for
Well,
now. What about you?
Yeah, I don't think they won many. I'm looking here, and it was a couple. I think it might be more than one, but it was only a
Okay.
couple. My pet peeve, I just noticed this the other day when I was watching the Twins. They're making a call to the bullpen. And not only to make a call to the bullpen do they have to use the special phone, which I think is ridiculous. They're worried about some guy, like, tapping the phone
Right.
and knowing that they're going to warm up a guy. Well, hey, no duh, because he's going to start warming up in 2 seconds. What do they care about? I think it's ridiculous they have to use that phone on the wall anyways. And then second, they have to dial a number. They have to pick up a corded phone and dial a number
To the bullpen.
To the bullpen. You're telling me I don't even know. Who's our pitching coach now? Vavra? No.
No, it's
I don't even know. Whoever.
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't even matter.
They have two bullpen coaches, Fast Eddie
They got Eddie out there.
and some other guy. But anyways,
Neil
Neil
Allen.
Neil Allen.
You're telling me Neil Allen really needs to pick up a phone with a cord, which no one has anymore. Dial it to tell
It should just be a
big
touch.
Eddie Guardado in the bullpen that Glenn Perkins needs to warm up because it's the bottom of the 8th inning and he's got to go pitch the top of the 9th.
Should just be a touch screen. Type it in. The name flashes up.
Text him. Call him on your cell phone. It is absolutely absurd.
Well, you can't have cell phones in the dugout.
They have a phone for the bullpen. You're telling me those coaches don't have their phone in their back pocket?
No, I'm not telling you that. I don't know.
It is absurd that's how
No,
they
I
still do
agree.
it.
I agree.
I know baseball's kind of it's entrenched in the times of old and whatever. They're finally getting the replay and everything, and they're kind of coming into the 21st century. But
Right.
it's like, dude, you don't need the corded phones anymore for
Well,
the bullpen.
speaking of baseball, what about the Twins? Is it going to last?
I don't know. I
Well, what kind of?
Well, I'm gonna say something. They're 5 games. They pulled one out against the Reds yesterday, which I want to say something was it was what was it 7? They ended up winning 8-5, but it was 7-1. And Hughes was kind of at the end of his rope. He had thrown a lot of pitches. They threw him out there for the 7th because it was 7-1, whatever. He got into some trouble. He had man on first and second. I want to say they bring in the redheaded bearded wonder Blaine Boyer. I don't understand the fast. I think he's terrible. I watched him throw 5 straight pitches. Double, 2-run score.
He put a hole in the backstop twice.
I'm getting there. It was a double. Ball through the right side. Dozier made a nice play to stop, but then Dozier decided to throw it into the dugout,
Right.
which wasn't completely Boyer's fault, but it was a good hit. Dozier made a nice play to even stop it. Then, I want to say there was another hit in there somewhere. He might even hit a batter, something like that. Then pass ball. Those were his first 5 pitches.
Right.
It was 4 runs, and all of a sudden it was 7-5 in a game again in 4-5 pitches. I could not believe what I was watching. And thank God he worked out of it. And then Hunter came up and knocked another run in because apparently Torrey Hunter and time does not exist to him. But what I have to say about the Twins this year, I think they're 5 games above 500 now. I think they're a way back of the Royals, like
no,
4.5,
they're
5.
just 4.
Oh, yeah. Well, did the Royals lose last night?
Yep.
Cool. Then they are probably 4.5 or 4.
And a big.
They're in the wild card, but it's a crowded wild card spot. They're at the top. They're tied for the 2 wild card spots are tied, but it's crowded. I will say. I think we got off to an absolutely out of the ordinary. I don't even want to say extraordinary. Out of the ordinary start. There was no reason we should have done that well to start.
Well, after the
First 7 games or whatever.
Yeah, we were 1-6 or something.
I think how we're playing now is how good we are. You know, we'll beat the bad teams, we'll steal one from the good teams, and every once in a while our pitching will all come together and we'll steal a series from the Royals or the Cardinals. I think we beat the Cardinals 2 out of 3 games
Right.
last time we played them. Or we beat them 1 out of 3 and the other one was a 1-run game. I think how we're playing now is how good we're going to is us. Which I think we gave ourselves enough of a cushion that we might have a shot if we can steal a couple, maybe make a move at the deadline. I think the Twins need to realize that with all these young guys who we're going to get to in a second, that it's time to, not just do everything in the farm system. It's time to, go out there and find an outfielder that can that has some power when Torrey's gone. It's great having Buxton in center and maybe Rosario and left, who's got a great bat. But, we need that right fielder or the third baseman if Plouffe. I like Plouffe just because I like him.
He's
does
having
well.
a good year.
He's having a good year. I like him as like a guy. I think he's fun. I like him.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I like Trevor Plouffe.
Do you want to hang out with him?
I'd hang out with Trevor Plouffe. You don't think it'd be a fun time?
What are you basing that on?
He just seems like a good guy. I don't know. What do we base anything off of?
Because he smiles once in a while?
Well, people know you're like, oh, that player's not a good guy. Like, how do they know? Have you ever met him?
I do think it's safe to say Mauer would not be a party.
Well, no. But I can tell that from watching him.
So,
and I can tell Plouffe would probably be a party. Anyways.
Speaking of Mauer and moves, what do you do with him?
I know you have some stronger thoughts about this, so I'm gonna let you go here.
Well, you can't get rid of him. That's clear.
Oh, no.
That's obvious.
I don't think anyone wants to get rid of him.
Maybe not him, but the $27 million a year or whatever.
Well, yeah,
But he can't bat third anymore.
No, he probably can't.
And you have to have a talk with him and say, listen,
I'm not so sure he can even play first base. He's pretty bad there.
But you can't have a guy hitting 258 and 3 home runs and a few RBIs being a DH either.
No.
So either he goes back to catching, risk the concussion. I think it's either the concussions or the injuries or whatever's happened to him. He's not ever going to be even half of what he used to be.
263, 4 home runs, 39 RBIs from your 3-hitter.
Exactly. That can't be a first baseman. That can't be a DH. It could probably be a catcher, but he can't do that.
That's a good line for a catcher.
Catching's the only, and I get that you probably can't put him back there because of all the injuries. So, at the very least, he's got to bat 7th or 8th.
Yeah,
he's
or I could even, I'd even be okay with him batting like 5th.
Maybe, yeah.
If I think 7th is a little drastic, and I think 7th is a good spot to keep those young guys in. Like Rosario and Nunez, those guys just, Rosario thinks so well they got him up.
Yeah.
But Nunez and Escobar, when those guys got to play 7th, is like the spot for them. They're going to get good pitches. They're going to see good pitches. They're fast to get on base if they're still on base for the top of the order. I think you can get away with Mauer batting 5th.
Yeah, that's fine. He's just
that way, and even then he can a single here, a walk here, a sac fly here. That's all he needs to do in the 5 spot.
He's at a point now where all those close pitches on the outside corner that they used to call a ball, they're all strikes now, and he still won't swing.
He still watches them, yeah, which is ridiculous because he is one of the best opposite field hitters in the major leagues. He hits that ball to the left center field gap probably more often and better than almost anyone else in the MLB for a left-handed hitter, and he just refuses to swing at the pitch that he can go that way with.
Right, and it's not like working a walk is great because he's so fast.
Oh, God, he's slow. He is slow. He's 6'5". I understand why he's slow, but
his time's coming, especially with all the young guys that we have.
He's like 32 now or something. He's getting old.
The beard's got to go, too. The beard looks
well,
horrible.
he's been playing terrible since he got the beard. I think that's...
Well, he's been terrible for 3 years, but the beard is bad.
Yeah, that's probably...
I don't know if that's his wife, his brother...
The car dealer?
The car dealer. His mom. I don't know where that's coming from. But that's got to go.
You might be right there with the beard. I want to say something about the young guns of the Minnesota Twins. Supposedly that are going to save our future. I'm going to put Arcia in there just because he's only played 2 full years because he's been hurt. The Arcias, Vargas, Buxton, Sano, who still we haven't seen yet, Trevor May, Alex Meyer,
Santana.
Danny Santana.
Not the musician, shortstop.
The shortstop slash center fielder. I'm not going to put Nunez, Escobar, and Rosario in there because they weren't supposed to be great. They're supposed to be good, get here eventually. They weren't. No one was like, oh, they're not the number 5 prospect or whatever. All these guys, for the most part, have kind of sucked, if you ask me. And I'm going to throw Hicks in there. I totally forgot about him because we don't play him anymore, but he was supposed to be great. Sucked.
Which time? The first, second, third, fourth, or 5th time we tried him?
I don't know. I don't even care anymore. It was honestly, I felt bad for him near the end because he knew his time. He was just like he knew. I felt bad for him. He was giving it all he had. He was phenomenal in the outfield, but the absolute second he made an error, the next game Buxton was up. I thought it was hilarious. They were going to leave him out there until he made an error. He finally did. Costly error, cost us the game. It's gone.
True.
And I feel like I'm watching it all over again with Buxton. I get it. Buxton's 20 years old. He's not. They probably brought him up a little early, but you look at every other guy in the major leagues that's been brought up this year. These big prospects: Bryant, Carlos Correa. Oh my God, what's the Jock Peterson from L.A. Like all the guys like that are playing out of their minds. And Buxton's over here batting like 150 and getting thrown out every time he tries to steal Mr. I'm the fastest guy in the major leagues.
And you know what's weird about all those other guys?
Yeah.
They don't have like a yellow patch on top
Well,
of it.
I'm not so sure Chris Bryant could really pull that off. if you
I
want
mean,
me to be
what is that? That's got to go. When you're batting 0.89, you don't want to bring any more attention
No.
to yourself. Get the hair colored back to your normal one. Maybe that could go under a pet peeve. I don't know.
I'm not going to sit here and say it's time to like give up on Buxton. He's
No.
like I say, but you know, it would have been nice for him to come up and actually do something. You know, everyone was psyched when Chris Bryant came up. He did something. Everyone was psyched when Jock Peterson came up. He did something. Same with Correa. Same with all those. I mean, you could go on and on about all the rookies that have been brought up the last couple of years. A lot of them for the Cubs. A lot of them for the Astros. They all did something. Buxton didn't. And Arcia had a decent start. Sucked the next year. Has been hurt.
He's back.
Vargas had an okay start. But this year, in almost as many games I looked last night, has half as many home runs, a worse average.
Well, Santana was great last year.
Santana was almost Rookie of the Year last year. But Jose Abreu, another rookie, came up right away, did something. It's terrible this year. So they couldn't even cut it in the majors. And then we get to the pitchers. Trevor May and Alex Meyer, the pitchers of the future. Trevor May stinks. He's 4-6, got one out in his last start. And I know at the beginning of the hour, we said, it's an exciting time to be a Minnesota Twins sports. That's the most optimistic I'm ever going to be because I'm a little pessimistic when it comes to all that stuff. I think that's just 20 years of failure.
Now it's a little bit Debbie Downer.
That's been brewing.
Yeah.
Alex Meyer in 2 outings has gotten shelled. I would like these guys to just pan. I'm not asking for all-stars. I'm asking for doing your job.
Well, it's not the Twins' fault that they signed a guy for multi-millions and found out he's on steroids. And he'll be back Sunday.
Yeah. He's coming.
Sunday. Kansas City.
Santana. Do you remember when he was Johan?
Right.
Was that him? It was Johan, and they had to change it.
Because we already had
a Johan.
Yeah.
But he has since gone to Irvin, which I think was a good call.
So what about Molitor?
I think he's a good manager. I think he's still trying to figure out when, the situations and stuff. He knows what he's doing. He knows baseball. He was always a smart baseball player. I mean, I never saw him play. But he was a smart baseball player, stuff like that. You saw him play.
Actually, you can't look this up. They didn't have the internet back then.
No, I won't.
In the early 80s, I played American Legion baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's irrelevant how good I was. But one of those years, my coach was Molitor's very, very close friend, and Major League Baseball was on strike, and Paul Molitor spent the summer with us practicing and goofing around. So I saw him up close and personal. And I will say one thing. When he hit a ball, it was quite different than when Bob Smith hit a ball.
It just came off the bat a little
Yeah,
different.
I struggled a little bit more with his. But he was a great player, and I think he is actually a good manager.
The team that they're throwing out there every day is more or less terrible, if you're being totally honest. Yeah, I mean, Mowers had a rough year. Mowers got a rough. And then you go around, Dozier's playing out of his mind.
Is he an all-star?
He's a reserve. He leads the whole AL in extra base hits. And he was only batting 260, but he's a great glove.
Yeah, but there's like 3 Royals ahead of him. At second base alone, they must have 3.
There's 5 Royals now in there. It's Perez, the catcher, Sal Perez, Kane and Gordon in the outfield. I can deal with those 3. Sal Perez, there's 4 catchers, all that are real close, probably all could deserve it. I'm okay with Perez. Kane and Gordon are good. They're probably not great, but there's not a lot of other great outfielders, both offense and defense, in the AL. I'm okay with them. They wouldn't be my first choices, but I'm okay. Because at least Trout's going to be in there, and that's who really deserves it. could probably throw Cespedes in the outfield, or
What about Hunter?
he might deserve it, but he'll never get the support. He's so old, and you'd think they'd throw him in as a reserve. The coaches would vote him in as a reserve. But then you get to the infield. And shortstop's not a great position this year in the AL, but you're really going to tell me Alcides Escobar is the best shortstop in the AL? And I can tell you for sure Omar Infante is not the best second baseman in the American League. You can say Dozier's probably not the starter, but Dozier probably deserves it more than Infante.
So should they cap the All-Star voting? Should there be only a certain amount allowed from each team?
I think they do it okay. The fans vote the starters. The starters only play 2 innings anyways. And yeah, we can sit here and complain about how it's all Royals and everything, but then the coaches and players vote the next 8 guys in, and then the managers just assign the rest of the team. So I think more or less everybody that deserves it normally gets in. You're going to get a couple snubs because of the fan voting, but a thing like an All-Star game is clearly for the fans. Yeah, MLB tries to swing it where the winner gets the World Series, whatever. It's for the fans. The fans should vote. And yeah, it's going to get abused here and there, and that kind of sucks. But, it's probably the best way to do it.
And should there be a player from every team?
Yes, I think so. I think on a team of 33 players, you can find a spot for 1 from every team. And for the Twins this year, it's probably just Perkins. And that's fine.
Well, I think Dozier's up there. He's batting.
Well, yeah, but if Infante gets at second base, then Kipnis from Cleveland is batting like 350.
Right.
And
who's the guy from Houston?
Correa. Or Altuve. Correa plays
Yeah.
shortstop. Altuve are probably going to get there. And then is there room for another second baseman? Who knows? So that one, he might get snubbed because of the whole Royals thing. So, we're probably just left with Perkins, which is fine.
Remember in Little League when second base was just the place you always put all the kids that couldn't play anywhere else?
Yeah.
I just was wondering if you remember that. I don't know why.
Why not? Yeah, no, I do remember that. And I think, I don't know. You'd think they could find a spot. Is that what you're saying? You think they could find a spot for another second baseman?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I think it's a thing for the fans. Every team should get 1 player. I don't think that's asking a lot. If it's a pitcher, an outfielder, it's not. You're not asking them to have a starter. And like I said, every player plays 2 innings. Yeah, maybe the starters aren't the best players, but it all more or less evens out in the end.
So
very rarely is there that big of an omission.
Wrapping the Twins up, do they end up over 500? Yes or no?
Yes. 2 games over 500.
So where does that take them? That's out of the wild card?
Probably. Unless Buxton comes back from this injury and tears it apart and the pitching stays as good as it has been, I don't know if it will.
Well,
I don't know if Malone can keep this up, and and Pelfrey pitched the other day and he kind of got roughed up. I think they're kind of running to the end. I think they finish a game or 2 above 500, but just outside of the wild card, which is, hopeful going forward. I know I just ragged on them for a long time, but these young guys, if they can figure it out, do have a lot of talent. They just got to get used to the Major League game.
They've got 4 games starting Thursday
against the Royals
in Kansas City. And just a side note, I will be there Thursday and Saturday. I know no one cares, but
I don't even.
I'll do my part. But if they even go, 3 out of 4 games,
that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge.
It's not unheard of.
No,
although they can't beat Kansas City for some reason, so
they cannot beat Kansas City at all. It's
all right. So probably I saved this for probably the last, the Vikings. Your heartbreak.
I do love
your
Vikings.
Thorn. They're like a thorn in your side.
I love all the rest of the teams. But at least I've gotten some success out of the rest of those teams. I've gotten the Wolves went to a Western Conference. Well, they've been so bad for so long it doesn't even matter. The Twins had a run where they were great. The Wild are finally getting good. The Vikings have just always, just when you think they might get there, they ruin.
Well, and football is a different sport because everything builds up to Sunday. You have a week to. It's just
it hurt. You don't get a lot of them, and
everything
hurts
builds
when
up.
they lose.
So where I stand on the Vikings before we really get into it is I am 100% a bandwagon fan, and I'm going to tell you why. Because way back when, my brother and I had a Broadway pizza franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Although I shouldn't really mention Broadway Pizza unless they're paying us. But there's a free plug. And one Sunday, one NFC Championship Sunday, the Vikings were at home against Atlanta.
Yep.
And the kicker had not missed a kick the entire
yeah.
season. We're up 7 points, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And he misses. Right after the announcer said, and he hasn't missed a kick. He's perfect for the blah, 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 blah. And we know everything that happened after that. And then I had to go to that restaurant on a Sunday at 4 o'clock, and the phone never rang. Not once.
Really?
My brother and I were just staring at each other. And at that moment, it was like a cleansing. I'm like, you know what? They're not dead to me, but they're in a coma. And when they come out of it, I'll be right back on the bandwagon. I hope they win. I cheer for them, but it doesn't upset me anymore like you. It was a cleansing.
I'll make this quick.
But now there's hope, I think.
I was going to say, I'll make this quick because I think we're running out of time. I think they might be coming out of the coma. They were 7-9 last year with no running back, a pretty awful rest of the offense, and a quarterback who is a rookie that wasn't even supposed to play. The defense is young and only getting better. Big bad man Peterson all day is back. Whether you like it or not, he's back, and he's going to be out there week 1 starting at running back.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. I was kind of like, oh, he probably shouldn't have done that, but...
Well, no, I have a problem with what he did.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, if I, a lot of professional athletes aren't the greatest, people in the world, but
Right.
it's something you just got to put up with. We weren't ever going to get rid of him, realistically.
No.
So you just got to, he's here. You got to deal with it.
So are they in the playoffs or not?
I think so. I think they're going to go 9-7, and they're going to squeak into the playoffs. Detroit's only getting worse.
Right.
Chicago sucks.
Right.
That's 3 or 4 free wins there. I think they're good enough to find 5 wins somewhere else.
No, I agree.
They'll probably steal one from the Packers at home. We seem to beat the Packers when we're at home.
Right.
So there's 5 wins.
And everything's gearing up for the year for 2017 when we have the Super Bowl at home.
Yeah.
First time ever that a host city had the team in the Super Bowl.
I think we got it. Well, that's an hour.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Are we going to do this again?
I hope so.
Probably on the car ride home.
Yeah, probably.
We'll just keep going.
And at dinner. And tomorrow.
In a long car ride somewhere and at a restaurant.
It was fun.
Yeah, wasn't too bad. And you know what? I think I only counted 4 mistakes on your part.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll tell you about all the ones you made on the way home.
Okay.
This has been Apples to Apples, Dad.
Drew,
It was fun.
we'll see you later.
See you later.
All right, bye-bye.